The legal world faces many challenges with electronic discovery: data accessibility, scalability, management, and overwhelming costs. Data continues to increase in size exponentially, and old solutions are failing to keep up. Welcome to IndexedIO, a new horizon of corporate data indexing. IndexedIO takes the latest technologies and provides the most comprehensive and advanced electronic discovery tool in the industry. With IndexedIO, you get started in minutes and can securely access your data anywhere in the world, 24/7. IndexedIO is scalable, giving you the power of 1 to thousands of servers instantly, securely, so your needs are always met. From megabytes to petabytes, all data is easily conquered by IndexedIO. When data is uploaded to IndexedIO, it is automatically structured, organized, and processed, instantly providing you the tools and information you need to manage your data. IndexedIO is the most affordable solution today. There's no need to buy hardware or software, and you only pay for what you use. With our budget and cost management tools, we give you complete control of your project costs. IndexedIO gives you the power and tools to make the most informed decisions on your data. Secure, fast, and cost-effective. It is the obvious choice for your electronic discovery needs. IndexedIO, Big Data Discovery.
So real quick, a brief breakdown of what IndexedIO provides, or the services and application platform that we provide. We're an eDiscovery processing solution. We are cloud-based. We have a distributed model built in an elastic environment. Elastic environment is kind of technical talk, meaning that we can grow the environment or decrease the environment on an as-needed basis. That means if you have more processing and you need to process faster, we can grow that environment dynamically, whereas traditionally you're going to buy tens of thousands of dollars worth of servers, and you're going to have to configure those, network those, load your software, etc. We can do that in real time, whereas it may take weeks or months to expand an in-house solution. I'm going to go ahead and toggle and share my screen here. It takes us to our web page. This is where you would actually sign up for your account or see other news from IndexedIO, updates, maintenance schedules, etc. You'll see we have a nice sign up for free trial button here. It's scattered throughout the website. And that's actually how you create an account through IndexedIO. In fact, if I had clicked on that button I did earlier, it takes you to this page here. We only collect a few pieces of information to set up your account. There's no credit card needed. There's no payment needed at this time. Simply first, last, email, and your phone number, and you have an account with IndexedIO. We email you your password setup email, which walks you through on how to set up your distinct username and password. And the nice thing about all of our communications, they are through SSL or SSH, which are secure socket layers and encrypted data transport cryptographic protocols. This is designed to send data back and forth in a secure manner so that you're ensured that your communications between IndexedIO and where you are secure and encrypted. Also note that all data is stored in an encrypted state. We do have a security white paper. If at any time you want to receive that or review that, please give us a request via email or phone call or through a support ticket, and we're more than happy to share that information with you. It goes into our data centers that we utilize, application security protocols, down to employee and new hire protocols for security and confidentiality. I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. Once you sign up your account or set up your account, you'll be able to sign in at any time with the address listed above. We can sign in. Oh, let me put the correct password in there. There we go. You'll notice that we're taken immediately to a projects page. We have a favorites tab and a my projects tab. The favorites are obviously the projects that I'm prioritizing at this moment. I can remove these simply by clicking the star, and it would remove it to my general projects, and I can add it just the same by clicking the star, which will pull it onto my favorites tab. Quick navigation. We do have a support always available on the left. It's a full access knowledge base with examples, videos. If you need to know how to search or you don't know how to do any specific functionality within IndexedIO, it's available here under support. You can also submit a trouble ticket there if there's something that isn't answered in our knowledge base, and our support staff would be in contact with you as soon as possible. We also have a suggestion feature that allows our users to add suggestions for future functionality or feature requests. This takes you to a platform where we're actually able to upvote other feature requests. As you can imagine, we get the same feature requests periodically, and this is your ability to say, I like that idea, I'm going to vote for it. This really drives development because we can see what our user base is prioritizing. If you had the option between one of 5 features, it allows us to determine that most people want feature X, which is a real great tool to advance the feature set. I'm going to go ahead and dive into my first project here. This is the trial account that is set up when you sign up. We do let you add up to 5 gigs to kind of kick the tires, and we give you this nice welcome screen. It kind of goes through the terminology of what a project, collection, and custodian are. Most of you are familiar with that. You can view project admin if you want to change the project name, and most importantly, how to access support and how to add data to your project, because that's really what you're here for to utilize IndexedIO for, is to upload and process your data. I like to keep this one empty just as an example, so I'm actually going to toggle back to an existing project, my Mega Telecorp. You'll see I have 53 collections in here. And if I dive into this project, we're welcomed with a nice overview tab to start that gives me a breakdown of what this project is currently reflecting, meaning 53 collections, 18 unique custodians. We do graphically represent this information as well. You'll notice down on the custodian size here on the lower left, if we hover over the pie section, it gives us the custodian name and the percentage of our total size for that particular custodian. If I click on this, these are interactive, I'll be taken to a full list of that custodian's collections. It's a nice segue to the collections tab. I'm going to remove this filter. You'll see that it has all of the collections I processed to date and their status, which is at this point processed. There's some demographic information and some metrics as far as what the source size was and what the output size ended up being. And of course, you can dive into any of these collections at any time by clicking the collection name. And you get a nice overview of what that collection specifically breaks down to as far as top 5 MIME types or file types, what the original source size was and what it expanded to, as well as some throughput data as it was being processed. And of course, you can browse these collections by clicking the Browse button. All items do offer a text or rich text view. You can tag them directly, you can review their metadata, and you can even download specific items from this interface. Okay. I will point out we are not a review tool. We are an eDiscovery file processing solution. However, you could see that on a high level, if you needed to do a first pass review where potentially a review of potentially privileged, this could easily be accommodated within our viewer here. And if nothing else, it can help you validate your search and your export prior to loading into your review platform. If I come back now to my collections, I'm going to go ahead and add a collection because that's really one of the first steps that we would do within IndexedIO. I'm going to click the Add Collection button. There's another Add More Data up here at the top. We're brought to the Add Collection wizard. Now you'll notice throughout the whole process of IndexedIO, we try to make it intuitive and we try to make it as easy to use as possible. We don't want to have a system that's so complicated you need a week's worth of training or you get frustrated in using the tool. If you were frustrated using the tool, obviously you're going to find another solution, and so we definitely want to avoid that. Oops, sorry. Take my bookmarks up there off. You guys probably already saw that I have my HTML cheat and fantasy football links up there. The step 1 of 3 obviously is identify the custodian. We use IntelliSense throughout, so even during tagging or for instance inserting a custodian name, as you start to type it'll pull up the unique values that are already created or exist. Now if you do not have that value, you can simply add it and it'll add that dynamically, so you don't have to go to the custodians tab to add John prior to add a collection. You can add John directly. You will give a name to John's collection and we can give a description. Webinar example. We're going to click the next button. There's a number of ways of getting data into IndexedIO. Obviously here you see a drag and drop pad, so if you had a browser or a file browser open, you can drag and drop a zip or a PST here. You can also pick an individual file from the file picker. This does have a 2 gig limit, mainly because it's through the web browser and it's a variable that IndexedIO cannot control. It is encrypted. It is secure. However, if your web browser times out or there are other variables with a web browser that we just want to limit that size to 2 gigs to give you a successful upload. We do give you a progress bar here, so you do see the progress of that file uploading. But for larger collections and most of our data ingest, we actually leverage the IIO drive. Now the IIO drive is it's an SFTP account that's set up for every project. When you set up your project and your trial, you're going to receive an email that has the SFTP credentials. Know that IndexedIO doesn't store that information. We salt all passwords. We use a salted hash. That's a technical term for it's a more robust password storage, kind of encrypted state. And in fact, if you needed to access or you lose your SFTP, it's a reset rather than a retrieve. But you upload your data here any size. There is a third mechanism for uploading data that we'll talk to, which is you can directly ship data drives to IndexedIO, and we will assist you with the upload with greater bandwidth on our end or more available time resources. If that is a necessity when you're talking about hundreds of gigs or terabytes, you know, that is just a request to your representative and account manager, and you'll be contacted with your trial, so you'll have that information. I'm going to go ahead and select my example PST collection, and I'm going to hit Next. This screen we're very proud of. It, I think, is a differentiator between us and a lot of products or almost all products out there on the market. What we've done here is we've kind of solved 2 pain points that we've identified with the industry. One is the cost of eDiscovery processing. Every article out there, and we follow them pretty religiously, is talking about managing litigation costs and charges and data management costs and all of the costs and costs and costs. These are all the blogs, and everybody's is posting their opinion on it. And we agree. The cost of eDiscovery file processing is pretty ridiculous, and we want to kind of attack it head on. And so you'll see here on processing level 1, this is on the collection level. We give an average of about 10 gigs per hour throughput, and we charge $15 per gig, and that is on the post-extracted file size. Okay. Now, what if so if you want to prioritize cost, great, leave it on level 1. If you want to prioritize speed, which is another pain point that we're addressing here, no problem. You simply slide the bar up. In that elastic computing environment that we talked about earlier, we are now dynamically adding processors and resources to this collection, and it allows us to bump up pretty significantly, 5 times the throughput for a slightly increase in processing cost. If you really want to put the spurs to it, and it's a Friday afternoon and you have a terabyte or more of data, or you just want to get it finished processing, you can slide it up to 3, and you can see that we can actually churn through a terabyte an hour. And it is at a higher cost, but you'll notice those costs, and I do a lot of research here with the individuals that I know in the industry, is still below the industry average. So you can get this high throughput at a still below industry average. Most people we found really like the fact that they can get it at $15 per gig, and this is a collection level. There's no limit to how many collections you can simultaneously process, which means as I save this, it's going to build that processing environment, and you'll actually see a screen up here that says the same. It's important to note that we're putting together tens of thousands of dollars worth of servers right now. This is going to take a few minutes, but keep in mind that if you were to do this in-house, this could take weeks or months given the resources and the configuration that we're setting up. The neat thing is we don't have to sit here. We can actually go back to our Collections tab. You'll see there's our new collection, John 001, and it's initializing, which means we can add another collection at level 1, which means we have an average throughput of 20 gigs per hour for $15. So let's give this to John again, or we'll give it to Joe, and we'll type in Joe number. We'll select that file again, and we'll process this again. This is firing up a complete separate environment to process Joe's collection. And this is how we can differentiate between collections and levels, because Joe's getting all their resources independently from John's collection. And the benefit of that is we don't have to worry about slowly decreasing our processing throughput because we're sharing resources. We're actually dedicating resources to each collection. Okay. The other benefit that we get here, and I kind of alluded to it, is you can add as many collections as you want. So what does that mean? That means you can have 10 collections processing at level 1, and you're getting near the level 3 throughput just from data organization. And we realize that that's the case, and we encourage it because we know that if you see the benefit and the throughput and the scalability and the ease of use, then you're going to utilize the tool, which is our ultimate goal. Okay. While those are initializing, I will toggle back to an existing collection here, for instance, Joe, the first Joe, and I'm going to actually search this data. We do have a search article here that outlines full Boolean, proximity search, metadata fields. I'm going to do something pretty simple as far as Buffalo, and we're going to return the result sets. In this instance, in this collection, there's 6 hits. Now at this point, we can tag these with a new tag or an existing tag. Again, here's that IntelliSense. You'll see that I've done this a number of times, so I've already used the tag Buffalo. I'm going to tag related, and I'm going to apply that tag to these items. And don't worry if these items already have that tag. We won't add the tag again. The system's intelligent enough to know that the item should only have the tag once. So if it already existed, great. It'll just keep it there. The concept of tags is kind of important to go into because we leverage tags pretty heavily inside IndexedIO. We want you to bucket the information, okay? And think of buckets as things you want, things you may want, and things you don't want, okay? You're going to leverage those in project tags. These are all of the user-generated tags, and they're all dynamically linked. So if I click on a tag, it's going to do a search and pull all the items that have that tag value. And in fact, you'll see the show filter here. This is exactly, we can add other criteria here to exclude or include other tag values, other buckets. So we may say, don't give us duplicates. That's a tag. Now, I happen to know that all of those were duplicates, so it results in 0. But that's important information to know that there's nothing to export that's not a duplicate at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here to our tags to kind of explain the structure of our tags. You'll notice that they each have colors. We allow you to edit the color for obviously visual identification. If it's a responsive term, you may want to color it as green, in which then when someone's looking at an item that has that tag, they know it's a responsive item. Transversely, if it's red, it may be privileged. Purple could be whatever issue you internally assign that to. And as your working group, you know that purple means, whatever it means. You can generate as many tags as you want. Again, these can be used as inclusive or exclusive depending of the purpose that you intend for that set to be. We do have domain tags. This is another category of tags. Every email, we extract a domain value. All tags are dynamic, again, just like before. So if you wanted to exclude everything from fantasyfootball.com as not relevant, you could do that easily through the domain tag management. And of course, we have system tags. System tags are identified by the system. These are things like did not extract OCR text. It did OCR files because during processing we extract text, we extract metadata, we virus scan, we OCR image-based files, including PDFs that did not have extractable text. We do deduplicate the files based on an MD5 hash, and we virus. Or did I say virus scan already? Well, if I didn't, we virus scan, and we also log exceptions, processing exceptions, so you can manage them. We identify system files based on the NIST, National Institute of Standard and Technology, MD5 hash database of known system files. And we also tag every export with the export name and the date time. This is so that, one, you can easily get back to that exported material, and two, you can exclude exported data from future exports, so that if you do the same search again, you can say simply exclude the exported tag, and every item gets a generic exported as well as the exported name and date time. So you could just bucket, generally bucket out anything exported, or if you want to exclude something from a specific export. Okay. If we toggle back to our collection here, you'll actually see John is firing up here. We get these real-time metrics that come through. The MIME types are going to adjust as file counts adjust, and the source, of course, John finished right when I get here. But these all adjust in real time so that you can kind of pop in and get a real good snapshot of what's happening with your data. The other important thing here, and if we toggle over, once an item's in, it's searchable. So these items here are still processing, but anything that it's processed to date is available. So I can actually search this collection prior to its finishing. Again, we'll use GAP, for instance. We get 4 hits. I can tag these as GAP with their related items. And then now I can actually proceed to exporting these from my review platform even before this collection's finished processing. Now, where is that important? It's important if, one, you're under a time crunch, and our industry is prone to time crunches. I'm understating that tremendously. But if you absolutely need to get the review team going or to get that end user material to start, you can queue up, start processing at that lower level, run your terms, and then export out the hits at that time, kind of get the pipeline full, and then come back and rerun your search and export everything that hadn't been exported already. Okay. One thing that I kind of skimmed over is you'll notice these notifications are popping up. IndexedIO is very notification heavy. In fact, you'll get emails when things happen. You'll get these, if you're in the system, you'll get these processing notifications. The idea is we don't want to require our users to have to babysit this. We know that this is one aspect of what our end users do in any given moment, and therefore we don't want to require them to use more resources of their time than are necessary. And so we give a lot of notifications. In fact, when you kick off an export, which is what we're going to eventually kind of end up at, you'll notice that you'll get an email that says, your export is complete. And why is that important? Because you may be in a meeting in a conference room. It may take 20 minutes to organize and output that export. Do you want to sit there for 20 minutes, or would you like to be on your iPad or your smartphone and get that notification and then follow through because you're alerted at the moment it happens, as opposed to going back and shaking the mouse and letting the screensaver pop off and checking the status. I will say though, at any given time, for instance, if I had searched Buffalo again, we'll do wildcard here. We get far more. Excuse me. You can tag this as a set. It doesn't have to be on one collection. It can go across all collections within your project. We're going to do Buffalo like this again. Through the tag filter under the collections, you'll notice I can search all my collections with the Explore tag filter. So this is a way to manage those buckets prior to exporting. You see we have close to 500,000 items there in this trial. But we can add our filter, Buffalo, and it's not only going to return the result set of those items, but it's also going to give us this nice pie chart that we can leverage. We could say, well, we want Buffalo and no extracted text. That's going to reduce the set down to these particular items. We can export these out as a CSV report. So we'll call it no extracted text report. Keep the date and time on there so we know when it happened, and we can hit save. Now this is asynchronously happening. So what is that? It was actually rather fast, but let's say it was every item in there and we have millions, tens of millions. It may take a while to run that report. If it does, no problem, we can continue on. It happened to pop up and we can download it straight from the notification, but let's say it's a larger one. We can always go to our Reports tab, and when it's finished or finalized, we can download it, and it's always available there for download. So you can see some other reports that I've put into here at other date times. This is key for a number of reasons. You send reports on, they get edited. You want to come back to the actual source to make sure you have exactly what you're looking for. It's always available. So now kind of going through the upload and processing, through tagging and searching and filtering and kind of that bucketing. And again, you want to leverage the not buckets just as much as the yes buckets. That all kind of equates down to your export. And this is really the final step in which you would leverage IndexedIO, because you want to get your data out. You've processed it, you got a handle on it, you know exactly what you got, you've identified the set of materials through your searching and tagging, and now you want to pull that material out. So under the Exports tab, first you'll realize or see that all my prior exports are available here under Download. All exports are also put into your SFTP account that is set up for this project. So if it's a larger export, you can download that directly through the SFTP. But we're going to go ahead and add an export here, and we'll call this Joe EX001. All native exports are free. You can export 100% of your data out of the system. There's no charge. There is a charge for image exports. You'll notice that we have beta listed under image. The simple truth is it's fully functional on the end user level. It's just not quite as intuitive as the rest of the application. And so we want to help you kind of step through the process to get images out. And we do export images in Group 4 black and white. We do overlay endorsements as well as special placeholder rules for if you want to do a blended Excel and PowerPoint as native but everything else is image. We can do a number of those configurations. I will say all viruses are exported as a text file that says this file was detected malicious code and or virus, and you do get the searchable text, but we do not provide the native of that virus. Okay, but let's continue with the native export because hey, it doesn't cost us anything, right? So we're going to hit next, and you'd be able to select the collections that you want to export. I'm going to go ahead and just generically grab Joe here. You can select your export bucket tag, or you can do the same filter that you utilized before. So if I wanted to do Buffalo, I could leverage that. If I wanted to export 100%, I would just leave this section blank, and what I'm going to do, which is what I'm going to do at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. And you'll notice that we give you load file formats. Now everything with edit I've created as my own templates. Okay, everything without edit we provide as a template or as a default load file format. So we give you a CSV with every load file or every field, excuse me. We give you relativity load file based on the published relativity load file file formats document, and we also give you an SEC, which happens to be concordance, but it's configured as the SEC's published file production format. As you come into your first account, you'll only see these three, and if you need to create a custom file, you can simply hit Create Your Own Custom Format and leverage one of the starter templates as a starting place. So for instance, we know SEC is concordance. We could just leave those delimiters in place and then come down and make the adjustments as we see fit on the other elements. We can change the date time formats, super extensive. You can offset, we process everything in GMT, so you can offset that by a specific time zone. You can change the word July instead of 07. You can do date, all kinds of, the most robust date time formatter I've seen. And we've kind of started you with the standards, but these can be adjusted however you feel fit. You can prepend the path. So if you know where the destination of this export folder is going to reside on your network or in your end user's system, you can prepend that with like the case name folder or something to that effect. You can also, with all the metadata, include or exclude the fields. So including obviously is putting a check, excluding is unchecking. You can rename the fields. You can reorder them. And if you look down through here, we have an extensive metadata field list available, including longitude, latitude. We also do SHA-1, SHA-256, and SHA-512 hash codes in addition to the MD5. So if a particular matter requires SHA-1, no problem, we can provide that by default. And there's the longitude, latitude. So I'm going to go ahead and just select a few of these fields here. It will export all three, so I don't have to re-export to get a new load file. And then we hit Next. You'll see we're on step 5 of 5. So we can put our prefix, what our seed value is, how many padding, and how many files per directory we want to apply to this export. The export includes natives, the extracted text, the load files, and if there are processing exceptions in your export collection, those are actually put into a separate exceptions folder. They are routed, so the relative path within your load files will point to that processing exceptions folder, but it is nice having those carved out so that you can handle those as needed. You'll notice that the fee here says waived. It is a native export, so all export fees are waived on native exports. And as we discussed, image exports are 4 cents per image with 1 cent per endorsement. So if you exported TIFF images with endorsements, it'd be 5 cents per image. Okay. Again, this is compiling. It's asynchronously compiling, which means it doesn't affect how we interact with the project now or how anyone interacts with the project now. We'll get an email notification when this export is complete, and then again we can download it directly from the IndexedIO interface, or we can connect to our SFTP account and download it from the exports folder. Okay. Now I know I've kind of really cruise through a lot of that functionality, but to be honest, we're very focused on file processing, and so making it easy and intuitive and fast allows us to kind of get through that data collection relatively quick. And that's a big goal of ours, is to help our end users. There's the export. I can download it through the notification, and now it's available. Is to help our users take the pain points out of this process. We know that this particular process in the whole workflow is probably the most talked about as far as cost, the most talked about as far as resources internally to manage. It's under great debate as far as what platforms you should use, and so we wanted to kind of squelch all of those with our solution. I will touch base here real quick on our support knowledge base. You can submit a support ticket, or again, you can search for like uploading, and it'll show you how to set up your SFTP account, how to add data to your project, etc. And each of these are feature-rich as far as screenshots, examples, all the information you'd need to solve your issue, hopefully. And if not, no problem. You can always submit your specific request, and we'll address it either through a conference call, a web session, or an email. Okay. I am going to pull over my chat window here because I realized I didn't have that up. If anyone has questions during this, you are more than welcome to submit them. I have them over on another monitor, so I'll be able to see those. A couple key points to to hit on here is that there's no software to install. There's no hardware to configure, purchase, or maintenance. This can be white labeled. So, for instance, if we have folks that want to white label it with their firm's logo and colors, or their service provider's logo and colors, we can do that. That offers a more continuity experience for your end users, so they know exactly where they're at and they feel comfortable navigating the system because it ties in seamlessly with what they're used to as far as their internal network or other branded products and solutions. And let me go back here. There we go. And we are always listening to our end users. So we encourage everyone on the call today to sign up for a trial, load the data, kick the tires, and give us your feedback, because we know that the moment we stop listening to our end users, we're dead in the water. So we definitely encourage everyone that's on the webinar today to go through that cycle. And describing it takes a lot longer than actually doing it. We have users that have trialed their account, had data uploaded and exported literally in 20 minutes or less, which is one of the benefits of having an on-demand system is the accessibility. I didn't touch on, I kind of touched on smartphones and tablets, etc. This is mobile ready, so that if you have uploaded data and you're leaving home for the weekend or out of town, you can access it through any mobile device, and you have the same processing power at your fingertips. You can, if someone emails you and says, hey, that collection has been uploaded from our forensic collection company and it's available to process, you can simply add that collection and the IIO drive will be available. You'll see your uploaded collection and you can process it from wherever. I've actually processed data from my phone a number of times because I've been away from my laptop, for instance. The cost of our product, we did touch on that. It starts at $15 per gig, and each level increments from $50 to $100 per gig, and that is the exploded size. We give you 30 days to host your data within the system. We know that a lot of projects are just process data, and that's all I need. I want to process it, search it, and export it, and then I'm finished. Well, great. You have 30 days of free hosting to work through that workflow. Anything post 30 days, we do charge a $10 per gig hosting rate. Obviously, there's benefits to that. Our data is secure, it's redundant, it's always accessible, plus it's available to run new search terms, new filter criteria, and to load new data against for deduplication purposes and for other organizational purposes. We do accept, for instance, if I added a project and you had a one-off project, we do accept secure PCI MCI credit card security. We actually use a third-party credit card provider to house that data for security purposes. You're able to add that information and start your project. And then we also do service agreements where we can invoice monthly for you, which most law firms prefer. So we're more than happy to invoice as well. The reason we have the credit card payment there is you never know at 2 a.m. at the middle of a trial and you have to process some eDiscovery. You have a tool right there at your fingertips. You don't have to contact your sales rep, have to output data upload or upload to their vendor and then have them get there in the morning and blah, blah, blah. It's truly accessible solution. So a popular question that we get is, how can we be so much cheaper than the average? That's an excellent question. The simple truth is our overhead is lower. We are not storing and warehousing hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of servers. So our overhead right there is reduced. And when we have an elastic environment, we're able to add those servers at real time, let our end users utilize those servers, and then we're able to tear them down and reduce our cost. And simply put, we have a very, very efficient technology model. Our sole purpose in designing and configuring this system was to reduce costs, and not just costs on our end users' end, but costs on our end, costs on all end. And we've succeeded in that model, and thus we're able to provide the lowest processing prices that we've seen in the industry. And if any of our webinar participants have seen lower pricing, we'd love to hear about it, to do a real apples-to-apples comparison to see if functionality matches. But the price piece we know is pretty disruptive, and we want it to be. And so think of it this way: for $15 per gig, you get everything you've seen today: full search, virus scan, OCR, load file generation, extracted text, metadata, and organizational tools. One question we had was, how do you compare with something like law? That's a great question as well. We just put a blog post on our website that gives you the top 10 reasons why you should switch from law to IndexedIO. So I encourage you to check out our website. Hitting on the high notes, basically it's accessibility and cost. We are an on-demand system. There's no licensing. There's no modules. If you want to do OCR, it's standard in real time. You don't have to buy an extra module or try to bundle your solution. And so you get all the features with one low price, as opposed to, I think I'll need X, Y, and Z, and then find out in the witching hour that you could use 10 times the resources and or some other module that wasn't approved for budgeting. Okay. We post to our web blog a lot. Definitely check that out. And if you aren't following us on Twitter, we do a lot of updates on Twitter as far as new feature releases or blog posts, general news in the industry. We pass on relevant articles as far as eDiscovery, data management, etc. So we definitely encourage you to follow us on Twitter, and you can do that by clicking the little bird icon here at the lower bottom here. You'll notice that we also run promotions. We're actually, because of the blog, we're giving incentive for anyone using law right now to give IndexedIO a try, and we'll give you 50% off your first project. So not only is it $15 a gig, it'd be $7.50 a gig. So we're pretty much giving it away to help show you guys just how powerful and awesome IndexedIO really is. Well, again, I encourage everyone to sign up for a free trial. There's no credit card or billing information needed to sign up your trial. Just a username and a valid email. And kick the tires, and we'd love to hear back from you as far as your experience and any feedback you have for us. We will continue to do a webinar series as we add more features and as we have more capacity and other fun things with IndexedIO, so stay tuned for that. And thank you all for joining us, and have a great day.
IndexedIO, Big Data Discovery.